This week, we are going to talk about the movie Baby Driver, a movie that arguably has a really terrible title. Kind of sounds like it should be an animated film, although it definitely is not. But I love this movie because I love crime movies, I love car chases, and I love everything about this thing. Let's get into it.
This just got official.
It did.
This just got real.
That's a lot of Mountain Dew, dude.
We're gonna get a sponsorship, I promise.
Yeah, just pace yourself on that stuff. That's a lot of caffeine and sugar, and this movie's already got a lot of energy.
It's zero. It's zero. So.
Oh, it's zero. I don't. What is it zero of?
Sugar.
Nutrition.
Elements found on Earth.
All right. And action.
Doc, I mean, is he retarded?
Retarded means slow. Was he slow?
No.
You don't sound retarded to me. He's a good kid and devil behind the wheel. What the hell else more do you need to know?
So you don't think that there's something wrong with him just not saying anything?
There's nothing wrong with a little quiet.
You know why they call him Baby, right? Still waiting on his first words.
So this week we are going to talk about Baby Driver. I threw this one out to the team. Really excited to talk about it. I will preface this right up front saying it is unapologetically an action music video. And I love music. I like musicals in general, which is why I hate La La Land. But it's kind of like a giant music video. In the sense that the soundtrack to me is unbelievably awesome. It drives the thing so much, not only just from the sense of like story and all that kind of stuff, but it also just drives action. It's obviously cut to the music in many, many specific instances. The gunfights cut to music, I think, are amazing. It's just that kind of thing where it pulls you along. I think one of my favorite parts about this movie is it is a bit of a heightened reality, like all movies are, but this definitely has this heightened reality sense to it. But I really enjoyed how every actor in this movie was very committed to their part, in my opinion. Like, I didn't feel like anybody phoned it in. And, it really, really brought out the best in all of them. Like, I mean, to me, lots of fun. And it's a popcorn movie for me. It is, I love the action. I love the stuff. I love how the car chases escalate throughout. We kind of start with a really fun one that gets you right into it. I mean, from minute one, you're go, right? I mean, you're in. But the car chases just get increasingly complex and dangerous and sketchy, and it's the world spinning out of control at the same time as we're kind of like watching the movie spin out of control. So that's just a lot of fun for me too. I'd be hard pressed to pick a favorite character on this thing, just because I there's things I can appreciate about each person in there. As I mentioned before, I'm not always like a fan of Eggers, like as a director. Like I'm not always there with Edgar Wright, but like Hot Fuzz, one of my favorites. Absolutely love it. I think the thing that reminds me about this compared to Hot Fuzz is Hot Fuzz to me is just, it's poetry. Like the way it's sewn together, the way it comes back on all these, kind of like Big Lebowski, where they're just repeating lines throughout the movie. Things are coming back in different contexts. If Hot Fuzz does the same thing, they keep like recycling lines back into the movie in a really clever way. But it's like a poem to me. This movie is I can say, at least from his style, is in line. It's not the same repetition of lines and things like that, but it's definitely it's a fun little, it's a poem that doesn't rhyme, if you will, to me. So I am excited what you guys have to say. I take all criticisms and complaints as well as accolades as fair game. So who wants to go first, gentlemen?
Okay, so I'm just going to go back to when I first saw the trailer for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I knew nothing about the lead, the main guy, And how do you pronounce his name?
Baby.
Ansel Elgort.
Ansel Elgort. Yes. Ansel Elgort.
I wanted to see if you guys can do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, literally the only people that even resonated with me in the trailer were Kevin Spacey, was just obviously before he got canceled, and Jamie Foxx. And obviously that's before he got canceled, because that's coming up in a few years. So the thing is that, it seemed like they were relegated to such small people. I really had no interest in the film because I'm not a huge fan of Edgar Wright, although I do like Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. I do like those movies, but I'm not like really like into them. And there were just a million things about the trailer that did not grab me. But the more I heard about it over the years, the more I found out about it. And I found out last week on this show that John Hamm was in it. I didn't even know John Hamm was in it. I didn't know that Eiza Gonzalez was in it. Okay. I had no idea. So when I found out all these things, I got way more excited to see it. So I absolutely adored this movie. I really did. I came away from it just absolutely just enamored with it. Did have some problems. I'll bring them up in a minute.
Sure.
But first I just want to really go off about how I loved exactly what you said about how it's an action music video. The editing, the music, and the action together, the cuts and everything, even the bullets were set to the rhythms of some of the moments. I mean, when I saw those things, I was like, wow. The scene where he goes to get coffee for the first time and song lyrics are graffiti on the wall. Okay.
That was clever.
Yes. So clever. So genius. I was just like, my God, and how they timed that was so perfect. I was just like, that had to have been shot 1,000,000 times to get correct, or those lyrics were digitally put there. One of the two.
Yeah. No, it's master editing.
Yeah, it was really, it was an editor's dream as far as I was concerned. The overall story, the overall action, it heralded back to Reservoir Dogs for me, which, Reservoir Dogs is one of my seminal films. It's one of those movies. It's just like, I'm just like, I love Reservoir Dogs. It's one of the best films ever made. I still think it's Quentin Tarantino's masterpiece, even though it is a ripoff of a Chinese film, but still it's fantastic. And this movie completely made me kind of remember what it was like to watch Reservoir Dogs for the very first time. There are surprises. There are moments in it where you don't see certain things coming. There were also times where I was just like, okay, it was a little predictable, but those predictions were good predictions. So you can't complain about that. If it's a good prediction, you can't complain. But yeah, just the cinematography, the editing, the characters. I was telling my wife after it was over that I used to be the kind of guy who would watch an action film just for the action. I used to love Hong Kong action films in the 90s. And in those movies, you can't really get into the characters. You can't really get into the story that much because they're usually very, very thin. But the action is why you go. Okay. But now I feel like I've seen and done everything. So when I go to an action film, it's more about the story. It's more about the characters. It's more about the dialogue. It's like the action, been there, done that. This movie, I didn't feel that at all. I didn't feel that at all. It was so well put together, so well done, completely blown away by it.
For an 8:30 start in the AM. Questions?
I got a question, Doc. Why would I believe phones over here heard the goddamn word you said? You lay down your whole plate. He ain't even listening. Baby?
The target is an armored truck at Perimeter Trust in Dunwoody, 10 a.m. sharp. We have the details of the route because someone at the depot has a nasal problem. The bank itself is right near the Buford Highway, so we should be able to hit the ramp within 60 seconds of getting out. We also have a diversion crew. They're gonna blow up a bread truck a ways away, keep the fuzz busy. The dress code is the Michael Myers Halloween mask, but don't all buy your mask at the same time. It looks suspicious. The switch car is ready, but you want me to hit the long stay parking structure at Hartsfield Jackson to get a heist vehicle that stays colder longer? Boost a commuter car, a family car, something that blends in well with morning traffic. Something on the heavy side, in case we need to ram the cop off the road. A Escalade, Yukon, Avalanche, whatever. It needs to be ready for an 8:30 start in the AM. Questions?
Well, ain't y'all cute?
That's my baby.
So I'm going to drop a few criticisms.
Yeah.
The first thing is you oversold the soundtrack.
Oh, okay.
You oversold the soundtrack. Now, I love Hocus Pocus by Focus, which is actually one of the cues for one of my scripts that I've actually pitched to you. So when that was included in there, I was like, he's thinking like me. So that was
Radar
kind of
Love.
cool. What's that?
Little Radar Love in there.
Radar Love, that's another good one. And then it was funny because they teased Brighton Rock in the middle of the film, and then I got mad that they didn't pay it off until the end. But the thing is that when they did Brighton Rock, the thing that I felt that I was upset about was I felt like the mix was completely off and the song was buried underneath all the other sound effects. It should have been pushed up because it's such an iconic Queen song. You know, I felt like everything just buried underneath it. And I felt like that was the one song where the editing wasn't perfect. They did such a great job with so many other songs, but Brighton Rock was just off. It just wasn't right there. But I was so happy to have that song in there. But like the first half of the movie, most of the songs, I was just like, why? I was expecting a better soundtrack. And then, of course, we get to Hocus Pocus. We get to Radar Love. They played the intro to Jet Airliner by Steve Miller Band and then didn't play Jet Airliner.
Yeah, there's a few of those where they start teasing the song, and I'm like, we're not going to hear it.
Yeah, I was so excited because I was right there on that moment when they kick in on Jet Airliner, and then he went to a completely different song I've never heard of. I'm like, huh? But then again, I've said this a million times before, music can be one of the most expensive line items in a post-production budget. So they had to go with what they could get. If we had Edgar Wright here right now, I would ask him, was Brighton Rock the song you fought for? Because that was probably the most expensive song in the soundtrack, and he saved it for the big finale. So I think that he kind of based it all around Brighton Rock and then just did what he could from that point on.
I mean, it was his song, right? It was Baby's song, like that's his go-to.
That's his go-to.
Exactly.
So if I was Edgar Wright, that's exactly what I would do. I would pick the one song that I want the most, even if it's the most expensive song in the soundtrack, and then figure out what we can do with the rest. But anyway, so there was that. The other thing that I had was you mentioned that the car chases got more and more intricate and intense as they went along. I actually think the opposite. I think that it started with really, really strong car chases, and then it devolved into mostly foot, hand-to-hand, and guns. That's kind of what happened. I don't want to give too much away, but I mean, the post office sequence, the car is taken out of commission right off the bat. I don't want to give that away.
Right.
But it's
okay to put a few spoilers in there. Everyone knows that we're talking about the movie, so go for it.
Well, yeah, watch the movie.
But do acknowledge something on the positive, and that is there's one thing that the trailer does not tell you at all, and that is that it's not just that Baby is a great driver. Baby is a great mover. He moves to the music. It's not just his driving.
He grooves.
Yeah, you think about parkour, you think about hand-to-hand combat, you think about any kind of motion whatsoever. He moves to the music, and so he doesn't need a car to be effective. And that was one of the things I thought was really brilliant. So even though I felt the car chases kind of went down, I still saw this amazing thing that he did with his movement. So way to go, Bill. That was a fantastic suggestion, man.
I guess what I liked about the car chases in the way they changed was, it starts with him very, very competent, very in control. it's the best of him as a driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that gradually gets stripped away. So like that, that heist with the guy in the pickup truck who's going after him with the guns when they're robbing the armored car and stuff like that. Like that one's like out of control, right? It's just, it doesn't go according to plan. People are dying. Like things aren't going, like it's not the smooth, competent execution that we saw in the first one. It's like it's getting a little out of control,
Yeah. It starts going down.
And then the same thing with that post. Like it's just, but to your point, I didn't really even think about how smooth he is from getting coffee to, and again, when he goes to get coffee the second time for the reprise on that, and it's not smooth, and he's bumping into people. You know what I mean? And it's just like he's off tune with the music, and he's not with it. But then when you go, when he's doing the chase through the mall, and he's running. He's smooth as hell.
I love that scene.
Right?
Oh yeah.
The sunglasses, the jacket, this, that, grabs a screwdriver on the way out because he knows he's gonna have to jack a car. Like everything's just, it's he sees it ahead of time. It's just he's planning ahead.
It's so fluid. I loved it.
Yeah.
Justin, where are you at?
So I'm not going to preach what you guys have already said. I'm going to go down a different road here for a sec because I agree with all the comments so far. Okay. So the only thing I'm going to say is that the soundtrack, so the first song that's played in the movie, I was like, because I love soundtracks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting so excited and I heard the song, like, where the hell did you even find this? Like, I love obscure music, but that song is like, that's like on a B side of a D side thing. Anyways, it's so, I mean, it fits the song. Like it's like the music to the credit of Edgar, like they nailed the music. Like it fits the mood. It's perfect, right? Like it's flawless there, but there are a lot of weird songs in there. But the couple scenes that I absolutely loved that I thought were really fun were, it was great to see Flea in a movie. I love Red Hot Chili Peppers. And the best part is he's missing a part of his nose. they address it slightly, and then you see it, you're like, I'm
Mr. No Nose.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just like, okay, that's awesome. But just like some of the art we were talking about, some of the beauty of this, like I love the scene when I think it's after the first heist when they killed JD, right? And they're going to the garage, and you see him, like we kind of get the story going of here, why he works for Doc and everything else. I love that there's like a little bit of blood coming out there, and just subtly, Kevin Spacey just lifts it up, puts it back, and shuts it, and goes, "Okay, you're on for the next one." And he's just like, just the beautiful subtleties of these things were so awesome. I love at the end when John Hamm is, they're getting ready to do the heist. And he's like, "Hey, what are you listening to?" And they kind of jam out together, and it's a very sweet scene. But then I also love like the part that I just think is like it's a popcorn movie, like you said, right? I love the fact that John Hamm won't die.
He's the Terminator.
Yeah, he keeps popping up. And like that last scene when he pops up, I'm like, yes. And of course, when he finally gets it, it's great. But it's just like it's so much fun to watch that. Is it suspense, suspended animation? Absolutely. But it's great. And I will tell you, to your credit, Bill, everyone is committed to this. And the ride from beginning to end is smart. It's intelligent. I love that the ending is just poetic. It's very beautiful. It's very poetic. It's done appropriately. It's beautiful. So all I'm going to say is I really enjoyed this movie. The music again was interesting. But all of it together, like it wasn't over sexualized. It was great. I mean, the Fast and Furious should have watched this for the latest movie because
absolutely for any of their movies.
Yeah, the car chases, like especially the first one, when they come out of the bank and there's a cop everywhere he goes, and somehow he does it. And the best part is, I think it's a Saturn, if I remember right. Like it's nothing special. Subaru, thank you.
Yeah.
But the funny part to me is he chose a bright red car, like to get away, like the one car.
Right. Yeah,
that's because there's a lot of bright red cars on the road, and he knew that he could blend in with other bright red cars. He knew that.
Again, it's poetic what happens under the bridge. Okay, I get all that. But and Jamie Foxx, I am not a huge Jamie Foxx fan. I think he usually overacts and he always plays a dick, and maybe he is in real life, I don't know. But I'll tell you, he's perfect in this role. Like he nails it beautifully. He's suspicious but believable, and how he gets it is my absolute favorite scene in the movie.
I got about 5 movies for you to watch with Jamie Foxx in them.
Oh no, I opened up a whole can of worms here. Okay.
You just did.
And you reminded me, Flea probably has one of my favorite lines in there, which was, "Who doesn't like hats?"
Yeah.
Know what you want?
Your name?
Well, you can get that for free. It's Debbie. Deborah.
Oh, that song.
The Beck one? Yeah. Except I'm Debora, and I think that's just Debra.
I don't know that one.
Oh, it goes, I met you, JC Penny. I think your name tag said Jenny.
Jenny?
The song's about him wanting to get with Jenny and her sister too, whose name is Deborah. So it's not even really about me, it's about the sister. My sister's name is Mary. She has got all the songs. Mary, Mary, where are you going to? Proud Mary, keep on burning. The wind cries Mary. She's got me beat again. She's got endless songs. I got one.
What did you guys think? What did you think of Lily James's character? What did you think of her performance, her character, her thing?
I thought, first of all, the song, I will tell you right now, that song was perfect. Like, again, it fit really well. I thought she did a great job, and I love the fact that she didn't become like this weak female character that, like, you know, she stayed for baby, she did her thing, and she stayed true to him the whole time. Like, I love that aspect of it. Like, they formed this bond. She didn't go off with some other dude, like whatever. And I thought her acting, you know, she was scared when she needed to be scared. She was supportive when she needed to be supportive. She was, you know, loving when she needed to be loving. I personally, I thought she did a great job. How about you guys?
No, I agree with you on that front. I thought, you know, it's a bit of an arc for her coming in, you know, kind of like in this every woman type role, right? Where she's you know, an average person who has a admittedly like sunnier than average disposition to start with. You know, I think she kind of comes in with this brighter attitude towards life. And despite what she sees and despite what she goes through, she kind of never loses that. I think she looks a little frightened at times with, like, you know, wow, this is intense shit. But like, she doesn't go as far. She's always on baby's side, and she doesn't go as far as like turning into a different person or becoming a badass or whatever. But that comment at the end when they take that car and he's like, you know, what did you do? Kill somebody or something? And she's like, yeah, he literally did like a minute ago. You know, like she's
I love like, that line.
She's right there. Yeah, literally like a minute ago.
That's the kind of line that I wish was in more movies.
Yeah.
You do kill somebody? Yeah, just a couple minutes ago.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was fun. That's a gift of a line for her, right? Like, what a fun line for her, you know, to do. So yeah, I really liked her in this. I thought it was a good, you know, and she for a Brit, she plays a good American.
I thought she did a great job. Yeah.
I'll tell you exactly what my wife said. She said she doesn't look like she did in Pam and Tommy. That was the first thing she said.
She's not wrong. She's not wrong.
She's not wrong. No, she did a great job. Unfortunately, I was way more critical of Eiza Gonzalez because, I mean, the thing that I like about her is that she is kind of like the Latina Megan Fox, but she can act. So so I was way more wanting to see that because the only other movie I'd ever seen her done was Ambulance. So I wanted to see what else she was capable of doing, and I loved her in Ambulance. So did you see Ambulance, Bill?
I have, yeah.
Okay. So
did you like Eiza in this too?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I loved everybody in this. I didn't have any criticisms of anyone as far as performances were concerned. I thought everyone did a great job. I felt like John Bernthal could have done more as well. You know, he could have been there. There were some people in there who I just felt could have done more, but this was Ansel Elgort's movie, and that's fine. But it's just when that movie came out, I didn't know who he was, and so I didn't care. I wanted to care more. I don't know. It just didn't grab me. It's another one of those badly marketed films.
How did you like the? Yeah. By the way, title wise, I understand it completely fits this. You know, just it's one of those titles. It's probably just not the best title they could have picked for this thing. You know, I don't know what the title is I would have picked. It's accurate. I'll give them that.
But I do like titles that are based on songs. I'm a big fan of that. And I had never heard the song Baby Driver by Paul Simon or Simon and Garfunkel.
I hadn't either. Yeah.
Yeah. So when that song was playing at the end during the end credits, I was like, this sounds a lot like Paul Simon, possibly Garfunkel. And then in the credits, I saw that it was. I was like, oh my God, cool.
Yeah.
New Simon and Garfunkel song I've never heard.
Like I think what crossed in my mind as soon as I heard the title was like, oh, Baby Boss, that animated movie.
That's what I thought originally too. I'm like, no more animation for a while.
You did good, kid. But you took something away from me that I love. You know I gotta do the same.
You know, John Hamm to me, one of the most versatile actors ever.
Like easy.
Who I think like doesn't get enough. I don't know. Like I don't think he gets enough credit for the range that he has.
Yeah.
But what did you guys think of the Paul Williams cameo?
I was going to mention earlier, it's like, yeah, the moment he showed up, I was just like, oh my God, yeah, because you mentioned that he was going to show up, but I forgot. So when he showed up, I immediately went, oh yeah, the Paul Williams cameo, and my wife was like, who's that?
Yeah.
He's going to be so lost on anybody under the age of like what, 45?
Yeah, I mean,
probably.
Like they're like, who's Paul Williams? Well,
yeah,
a composer and an occasional guest on Love Boat.
Yeah, that's true. In the Muppet movie.
Yeah, exactly. He's just a legend. He's been in so many things.
Oh yeah.
That's a fun scene though, I think too, the way that spirals out of control just in terms of the, you know, bats going crazy and the slaughter that it is, you know, forcing everybody over onto their side in terms of, you know, lying to Kevin when they get back.
Did either one of you guys ever watch any of the like Hong Kong action films from like the 90s and stuff?
I watched like, you know, some Chow Yun-Fat stuff like Killer and Hard Boiled, absolutely.
Yeah. It's some like, you know, Jet Li stuff, High Risk, stuff like that. Yeah, of course. So those did you ever watch any of those, Justin?
Yeah, I did. I love that genre. Yeah.
I actually got to the point to where I was living in Portland at the time, and I found a store in Portland that rented them. You know, they had the whole store was nothing but Hong Kong movies. And I was like the one white guy who went in there and rented movies. And the owner ended up becoming friends with me because he was like, oh, you got to watch this. You got to watch that. And but the thing is some of those movies can turn into just these absolutely incredible bloodbaths that are just, and they're just shameless. They just go nuts. And there were a few scenes in this movie. They didn't go the complete full route that those Hong Kong films did, but there were moments in Baby Driver where I felt like Edgar Wright had some of that influence in him. And the scene where Bats goes crazy with Paul Williams, that scene alone was one of them.
Yeah, I mean, look, given Shaun of the Dead and given you know, Hot Fuzz, he's not afraid to go that.
Oh no,
at all.
No, he's not.
I did get to meet Chow Yun-Fat one time.
You did?
I did.
That would be cool. Was he cool?
I got to meet Jackie Chan.
I met him as well. Jackie Chan's a wonderful soul. I think. This guy.
I met Jackie Chan in the lobby of the Beverly Wilshire. There's this little tunnel that goes between the valet park and the lobby. And I was walking one end, he was walking the other end, and it was just the two of us.
Oh, wow.
And he passed me. And I knew from the moment I saw him, I knew who he was. And my whole being was just like, don't don't bug him, don't bug him, don't bug him, don't bug him. And then he passed me and I said, I'm never going to get this chance again. I turned around, introduced myself to him, shook his hand, told him I was a fan, and then walked away.
Yeah, the random meets are always crazy. Like, who's your favorite random meet? Is it
Ever?
Jackie Chan? Yeah. Like
What's
random.
that?
Oh,
Like,
I would.
random, like when you randomly run into somebody and talk to them, like who's your favorite random meetup?
As far as it being a positive experience, it would be Jackie Chan.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to say the lead guitarist of the Scorpions. We happened to be at the Rainbow Room, and he walked in and literally just sat with us. We hung out all night. It was one of the most fun nights I've ever had. And the stories, it was totally random. He was just looking for a bunch of cool people, like just people to hang out with. He was in town for a few days, and he came by, and I can't remember who else came by. But anyways, it was a really fun night. How about you, Bill?
Got to be honest with you, though, the Rainbow Room doesn't make it a random meet.
Well, we weren't there to see.
Rainbow.
What I'm saying is,
The Rainbow.
yeah.
We didn't really get to hang out, but I like one of my random funny ones. I was with our mutual friend Eric one time.
Mhm.
And we were waiting for a meeting at a hotel, and it was sort of like a Wednesday night or something. We're in the lobby just hanging out, and all three of the guys from ZZ Top come in.
Oh, wow.
That would be cool.
All three.
Yeah, it was just like all of them together. It was like, oh my god, that's ZZ Top.
Did you look at him and say, "You are a sharp dressed man"?
Like I will say one of my funniest was I hit on Kirsten Dunst and didn't know it was Kirsten Dunst. Like, so
She's very distinctive looking. How did you miss that?
Yeah, I was at a thing. There was a million celebrities there, and I was just hanging out talking with some people, and this guy waiter's coming by with those the little mini cheeseburgers, pass them out on a tray or whatever. My friends and I all took one, and the guy goes to walk away, and I see this girl sitting on a couch by herself, and I was like, hey, I said to the waiter, maybe she wants one too. Like, he was just kind of like ignoring her. and he looks at her, he's like, would you like one? She's like, yeah, I actually would like one. That's a good idea. And so she has one. Then it was sort of like a natural opening, and then she and I wound up talking. And I'm talking to her for 20 minutes, and literally was like, I just looked at her one moment, I was like, wait a minute, are you Kirsten Dunst? And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm Bill. How you doing?
Hey, quick trivia question involving Kirsten Dunst. The movies that we've reviewed so far, Kirsten Dunst was in one of them. Which one was it?
Paws of Fury. I'm kidding.
Was she was she in that? No, she wasn't in.
No. She couldn't have been in Volunteers. So what's the other one?
She was in Bonfire of the Vanities?
She was Tom Hanks and Kim Cattrall's daughter.
Oh my god.
That was Kirsten Dunst. Long before she did Interview with a Vampire.
Okay, I was going to say she had to be that young. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, she was their daughter. She was Campbell. She was the daughter, the one who had the whole thing. What's a bond? That was Kirsten Dunst.
Now, all right, let's get to the part which is my favorite. Okay. Let's talk about recasting this thing, because I'm pretty excited what I've come up with, but I know you two geniuses have a great list too. I think since I picked the 80s genre, okay, because I think that's kind of where we left off. That kind of area. So I said for Baby, Michael J. Fox.
Oh, fun.
I thought it just seemed like he could pull it off, right? For Buddy, Harrison Ford.
Okay.
For Doc, Robert De Niro.
Oh, yeah.
For Deborah, Elizabeth Shue. And for Darling, Sharon Stone.
Wow. Okay.
I feel like you lead me on a branch here. Do you agree with any of these? Any good choices?
I love the Elizabeth Shue one.
Yeah, I'm into that whole thing. I think I'm not sure how I feel about Michael J. Fox.
Okay.
I mean,
who would you do?
So honestly, I'm sort of 80s too. Although I kind of stayed. I was just recasting like Baby and Deborah. Like, that's it. Like, I don't think I went far enough down the path. But my 80s pick for Baby, honestly, was Tom Cruise, because
that was mine too. That was mine too. And what I was going to say specifically about Tom Cruise was if this was before Risky Business.
Yeah, I mean, he had that every boy look, but like the sliding in Risky Business and the pool cue dance with Color of Money and stuff like that.
And the
like,
sunglasses.
That was like he had that cool factor where I feel like he would have made a pretty interesting 80s version of this thing.
Yeah, he would have been a great baby, but I think it would have needed to have been before Risky Business.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then I was my Deborah was going to be a young Demi Moore.
Oh, that's a great choice too.
That's a great choice too. Yeah.
Because I feel like she's got some versatility that I don't think she gets credit for maybe all the time too. But if you looked at because I think her character About Last Night or something like that, much more, raunchy, not raunchy, but like risque, if you will.
Yeah.
Like little sexier or whatever.
Between that and St. Elmo's Fire.
Yeah. But I feel like she gets, or I meant St. Elmo's Fire, honestly. So, but I get those two movies confused. But I feel like she could have easily gotten the role that Lily James pulled off, where it was that little bit of doe-eyed thing, and kind of came into her own. But I think she would have done a fun job at that. And I don't know.
I was original.
Do we see is there ever a pairing of Tom Cruise and Demi Moore? I don't know. What are they in together?
Yeah, Few Good Men.
Oh, Few Good Men. I just watched that not long ago.
Oh my God, that's an obvious one. I can't believe I missed that. That's a great guess.
Doug, where are you at? What do you got?
So, okay, obviously you and I totally agree on Tom Cruise. That was originally when I first started thinking about it, my problem was I couldn't get Steve McQueen out of my head. I would have loved to have seen Steve McQueen do a role, like even at the age he was at when he was doing movies like Bullet and Getaway and stuff like that. I still would have loved to have seen him do a character like Baby. I think it would have been, he would have been too old, obviously, but I still think that it would have been just a great role for him to do. Just the guy who doesn't talk, the guy who's focused on the music and doing what he's doing, but being so introverted rather than extroverted. Because I think that Steve McQueen did such a great job at that. But then I was like thinking about if we went into the 80s, it's like, no, it's got to be Tom Cruise because he does have that cool factor. The sunglasses, he's fucking synonymous with sunglasses for crap's sake.
Well, and not just sunglasses, Ray-Bans.
Well, yeah, Ray-Bans. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm a Tom Cruise fan all the way back to Taps. I saw Taps in the theater and just was like, wow. You know what's really funny is I didn't put two and two together about Sean Penn until years after Fast Times at Ridgemont High and realized that was the same guy who did Taps and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That's how much of a chameleon he was. But when I came away from Taps, the actor that I was really focused on was Tom Cruise. I was like, that guy was really good. I wonder what he's going to do. So by the time Risky Business came along, I was a huge Tom Cruise fan, and everybody else is like, who is that guy? I'm like, that's the guy from Taps.
And he's been able to make a couple movies since, honestly.
Yeah, just a few. So I totally agreed originally with what Justin said about Elizabeth Shue until you said Demi Moore. And I honestly think that Demi Moore is a much better choice, and I can't think of one off the top of my head that is better.
There is, I mean, honestly, Molly Ringwald could have done it. There's so many interesting people in that role. You know what I mean?
I'm just not that big of a fan of Molly Ringwald.
Yeah, I'm not either. I find her very obnoxious.
But going into the supporting cast,
the
only one that I'm going to even bring up is Darling, and going to go with another Tom Cruise reference, Rebecca De Mornay.
Oh, interesting.
I would not have chosen that, but I like it. That was not.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Rebecca De Mornay would have been a great Darling, especially back then at that time in her career. Dude, this was just such a great call all the way around.
I'm going to give you a high five, my friend. Compared to Paws of Fury, you've redeemed yourself, my friend.
No, I appreciate you guys watching. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad it was a fun ride. It's always, I'm a little nervous, because you're a tough crowd.
I debated coming in and saying that I thought it was shitty. Just to throw you off, but I decided against it.
I'd rather watch Paws.
I love Galaxy Quest.
I love Galaxy Quest. I don't know whether it's positive or not, but okay.
It's
Baby drove me insane.
It wasn't on the list, and I
Well,
saw
maybe
it was
what
too much
do we
like
have up
Pink.
for next week? Who's up next week?
Yeah, it's
I
Justin's
am.
turn.
All
And it's
right,
time for
so
him
the
to
hottest
redeem himself.
Sigourney Weaver's
Yeah.
ever looked at. I'm on the hook here. Okay, so basically, here's the deal.
But I think we
I
can- I think we
picked
can
one that we
scratch it. I think
haven't
we've all
done, a
seen it,
genre
and
we
we
haven't
all love
done
it.
yet. So if you're not
Yeah,
cool
that's
with
a-
it,
that's a
I have
really
a
fun
backup,
one.
is what I'm saying.
All
All
right.
right. Well, then see, that was the
I
backup. So
don't
I'm
think
glad
we
I
even
picked
get to
one that
reject. I think you just have to.
Well, it's a
No,
documentary.
I'm not
I'm
planning
excited
on
to
doing
see
any
this.
rejects. So
it is a lot
it
of fun.
is actually really
Yeah,
great.
see,
To
that's
be
what.
to be completely fair.
All right,
When
so
that
we have
came
not
out, I
done a
had absolutely
documentary
no
yet, and this
interest
one fits in a
in
very
seeing
fun
it
genre.
at all because
and
I thought it was
I'm
just
so excited, and I'm
making
hoping you
of
haven't
Saint
seen this 'cause
Anger,
it's so good.
documentary,
Yes, I think so.
and I didn't
And
really
that
like
is
the Saint
some
Anger
kind of monster.
album. And then
Okay,
when it
I've
came
seen
out
it.
on Netflix, and this, we're talking within a
So the
month,
cool part is
a month ago,
Metallica
it came out
documentary done
on
in 2014
Netflix,
or
and
2004.
I was searching for
But
something to watch, and I
the
said,
one on
let's check it
Netflix
out.
now
So I clicked
has
on it, and within 5 minutes, I was completely drawn
on
in
Netflix,
because
and
it's
they
not just
basically
about the
added
making
on
of
the
Saint
10-year
Anger, it's
follow-up
about
thing,
the
which is supposed to
band
be really cool.
itself.
Basically, it's a
being peril.
documentary of
And,
the band and
has a
everything,
lot of
but it's a
things that
really
interested me as a person. I don't want to give them all away.
I'm going to tell you
But
now.
the bottom
Have
line
your
was
Kleenex
it was
ready.
very, very, very. Have you
Wow.
seen the follow up?
All right.
No, that's what I'm saying. I haven't seen it. No, I'm just going to let you know.
Okay,
now
yeah,
because
I've seen the whole thing. It is. It's going to be good. You guys are going to enjoy it. It'll be interesting to hear what you guys have to say.
Yeah, I can't wait till we try and recast it. Like with
All right, Eddie Vedder.
Tears for Fears.
I can recast it.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I
why I
can
was debating if
recast
we
it.
should do it. But you know, with the theme of good music and kind of a fun thing, I thought we'd go off on a different path here.
I think that's fun. I've got some. I love docs. I've got some favorite docs out there. So I
have The Sorrow and the Pity coming on Blu-ray this weekend.
Ooh. Have you guys seen Free Solo?
Yes. Oh God.
I have
Great.
it.
Pretty amazing.
Disney Plus. It's unreal.
It's absolutely.
Oh,
I think I've seen it 3 times.
And that guy's career is blown up, by the way. I'm really proud. I'm happy for him.
Until he falls, but yeah.
is he going to blow up? Is he going to fall? What's he going to do?
Follow me on Instagram.
I need more likes. Make me martyr me.
Make this video blow.
I want to go viral.
No, but I love a good doc. I think like Fog of War I loved.
I have not seen that yet. I want to.
You know what that is?
No, but I remember when it came out, I'm learning about it, and it was supposed to be awesome.
It is like it's an interview with Robert McNamara.
That's what it was. Yes. Okay.
Who is a pretty interesting character.
Mm.
That whole, almost all the leaders, the military leaders from back then, are pretty fascinating. Seriously, like they're.
Yeah, and he just like his career in general was like he was not to ruin that movie. He was the first president of the Ford Motor Company who wasn't named Ford. And he only had the job for like a few months or something. And Kennedy called him and said, I need you to come serve your country.
I didn't know that.
That's how he got into the job. He already been in the military before, but like he had left, like done this, and he was at that point, he was the highest paid executive in the country.
drummer Lars does not blow up. I'm just letting you know.
Oh.
He doesn't. I kept holding out for it. I kept waiting for it. Spinal Tap had led me astray. I was kind of pissed. So I'm just...
No, but Jason Newsted did.
Well, he died.
Maybe
I'm not
I'll
sure
watch-
blowing
maybe
up.
I
but
won't
yeah.
watch it.
Well, gentlemen, this was fun. And Bill, I got to tell you, that was a really, really fun...
Okay.
It was a good, fun popcorn flick. You nailed it. So thank you.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
Thanks. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Look forward to another episode of this fun podcast.
Which, for those that didn't catch us at the beginning, we are in the process of creating a new name thanks to Doug.
We're going to make it happen.
And cut. Brent, we're moving on. That was perfect.
Please follow our YouTube channel and check back for future episodes. If you'd like to suggest a movie for us to assign to each other, please send them to us in the comments. This podcast is a production of Two Dips and a Dad Productions. Production and post-production support is by Sean Robinson of Parker Ken Entertainment. Thank you for joining us.